I promised you guys last week a good episode, so I didn't want to let you guys down. What's happening, YouTube people? DeadDuck here, and welcome to episode 25 on the MineTech server. So, with season 2 just around the corner, I decided for this episode I would do a full-on base tour and show you guys every build and every aspect of my base. I really wanted to do this in a downloaded copy of the realm, because obviously the draw distance is not so good here. The frame rate sometimes suffers a little bit on the realm, and it's just a little generally a little bit more unstable than it would have been if I'd done it in single player on a creative copy. But we can't be doing that right now because we are halfway between updates, and realms have been slightly updated and the actual game itself has not. So I'm unable to play any downloaded copies at the moment, which is an absolute pain in the This would have been a much better, visually more exciting thing had I been able to do it on a creative copy, but it's just not possible right now. And I know I promised you guys a good episode this week, so I aim to deliver. It'll be soon time to say goodbye to my base and the entire realm here, which is a little bit sad really, but that's the price of progress. So for this episode, let's have a bit of a tour around this place and see what's what. I'm going to kind of compare a few things and sort of talk you through each build, discuss kind of what I will be doing similarly in the next season and what I'll be doing completely differently, and just discuss the builds as a whole. So let's start right here at the Guardian Farm, because this was the very first build I did on the MineTech server. It's gone through quite a few changes since I put it up. And one of them is the spawning bays themselves. If you guys have been watching this season from the very beginning, you'll remember that at first I had a bunch of weird looking bays kind of over the top here, and it was a little bit different. Obviously, as the season went along, I learned a little bit more about guardian farming and that kind of stuff, so it's been adapted and changed a few times. So now this build was something that I designed a long time ago in the last season of my single player Let's Play series. So it's quite an old design. It's based off of Exumavoid's Guardian Farm that he did a long time ago, because I really liked the way that he did it and pulled it off. It's completely comprehensive. It has obviously it's AFKable, and it was also XPable. So let's talk about the XP mode to start off with. So the XP mode suffered a fair few drawbacks. So let's just toggle it on and let's just talk through why this XP mode in this current state is absolute crap. So let's just let's go there. As you see now, all the water is on, so when these guys fall down from their base, they will suffer no damage and they will get carried away by this current, drop down here, eventually get carried all the way down here, bounce up and down on this little slime block, come across here, bounce up and down on this little slime block here. Then of course they will slowly make their way along here around this little corner. They'll bounce up here for some reason, get shifted over, and then drop into this little area here where you can destroy them and get your little XP. But the reason why this thing is absolute pants right now is because Guardians do not like being carried away by currents. They have an extremely strong swim to them, and yeah, look at this, they get kind of stuck. So AFKing this thing takes absolute ages for you to receive any kind of decent XP reward. Now obviously, since this design has been built, guardian farming has changed, as I discussed before, and now there are plenty of different ways to kind of get these guys in a position where you can XP farm them, and one of those ideas is sending them through the Nether, which, as far as I am aware, is still the kind of best way to get that done. So anyway, moving on, the next thing we have here is our drop system. So let's go and have a look at this thing. So the drop system itself was only able to be created due to the aquatic update which allowed us to use water streams and bits and pieces to get our items to travel through. And that was due to the mechanic of floating entities in water. So instead of sinking to the bottom of things in water, items flow to the surface, which allows us to have these nice little water streams up. And yes, we are in a position where we can move all our drops around using water streams vertically instead of just horizontally, just like Java, which is really, really cool and allows us to do this kind of thing. Here are some turtles for reasons. They were a thing on Aquatic Update, and I didn't really know what to do with them, so I just kind of slammed them in here just for something to look at while I'm around here. Now, this Guardian Farm is awesome because it's also a slime chunk. So we get a lot of slimes sort of spawning where the Guardians spawn along these kind of pads here, and then obviously our iron golems just take them right out and we get our slime. So that's really handy, and coincidentally that was exactly the same thing that happened to me on my last single player Let's Play world. So yeah, that's kind of handy, and that was basically up until extremely recently, being last week. That's been my main source of slime. It doesn't actually produce a ridiculous amount of slimes, but enough to enough to kind of see me through this season of MineTech. This Guardian Farm, all in all, worked extremely efficiently, just by design. Obviously, having them killed by full damage is so quick and efficient compared to, you know, using magma cubes or other kind of ways to kill them. So it was quite quick and quite efficient. Would I say this thing is very easy to build? Absolutely not. It's ridiculously resource intensive, and, you know, obviously due to the decreased efficiency when it comes to XPing, it's maybe not the most satisfying Guardian Farm you could build, but it's certainly one of the most impressive. Obviously, we don't need to be hollowing out temples and stuff anymore, so this kind of Guardian will probably be a thing of the past on Bedrock Edition now. So I would imagine this is probably the last time you're going to see a kind of Guardian Farm in this kind of configuration, built by me anyway, because there are much more efficient ways of doing it, even though I have to say it's very impressive to look at, and it is extremely efficient in terms of just sheer drops alone. So if we come around the back here, we can see our storage silo just off the back of this Guardian statue right here. And as you can see, it's fairly well full of stuff. I use this thing loads and loads and loads, and I've still got a whole bunch of stuff in here. Probably less crystals, I would imagine. Yeah, less crystals, but loads of fish. A few slimes as well. Yep, lovely. So yeah, this thing is cool. I don't think I needed that much storage, but yeah, next season I'm still going to do it because, come on, it's only hoppers and chests, and you never know. But just before we leave the Guardian Farm, I just wanted to show you this, which is the Guardian statue itself. Has a hidden door in here, and this has kind of served as my bedroom quarters for most of the season. I've just got a couple of beds in here, enchantment table, and some other bits and pieces. This is just the electronics for the redstone door. But yeah, this has served as my bedroom for most of the season up until I did the penthouse. But yeah, one little addition to the Guardian Farm. So moving on, the next thing that I built was this little iron farm, and it's just a bog standard iron farm. There's nothing special about this thing whatsoever. In fact, it's not even, you know, the best kind of iron farm that one could build anymore, because you've got the one chunk iron farms that have since come into popularity. So it works very nicely as an iron farm. It's just an iron farm and a bit of a fish farm and a bit of a squid farm. Also, that's another thing that I should mention. Doing the aquatic base has been wonderful because everything that I build can kind of farm me fish and ink sacs as well. There doesn't seem to be too much in here, but I've already got 5 from the Guardian Farm, and they do build up in here, and they do build up in the sugarcane farm also, which is the next place we come to. Now, this was one of the biggest disappointments that I built on this server all season, really. Now, if you look at this thing, it looks like it should pump out a ridiculous amount of sugarcane, but it really, really doesn't. There are many flaws to this thing, and one of them is the loss. I mean, you can just see here, all the sugarcane is kind of piling up along the dirt edges here, rendering this thing relatively inefficient, along with another problem, which I will show you now, which is this. For some reason, our sugarcane will grow up 3 blocks, but will not trigger the observer, which is strange, which means that this line of sugarcane, unless it's interfered with, will never ever be able to be grown or harvested on again until you just break this top one. And wow, 1 piece of sugarcane. So this sugarcane farm was very inefficient. I will not be doing it like this on season 2. I think I'll go with a kind of flying machine kind of design. I haven't actually spent any time AFKing this thing at all. But when we look in this chest system, we can see that the output has been quite pathetic. I mean, a double chest and a few, that's just awful. But if we look in here, we find, yes, our ink sacs, because like I said, all of my farms produce a lot of ink as a byproduct, just because I use water systems for every kind of transportation system, and a lot of squids spawn here and die, and we get a lot of ink, which has been our absolute single source of ink since we started on this server. This is my concrete farm. Now, this is my own design. Obviously, you have your piston kind of feed tape here that kind of pushes all of your concrete powder over here. Then this big old piston line here pushes all of the concrete powder down here. Now, the thing that makes this thing so cool is that it's massive. You can store a lot of concrete in here, and it will only turn into concrete once it hits a solid floor. So this line of water here kind of acts as our hardener for our concrete powder, but it will not harden until it touches a solid floor. So you could kind of have this as long as you want, because you can still use the gravity physics from the concrete powder to drop your concrete to store it right down the bottom here in massive quantities. So it's a really cool little design. I'm surprised that it hasn't been given more screen time by other YouTubers designing concrete machines, because it kind of is the best way of doing it. Otherwise, you kind of need lots of pistons in order to kind of get a lot more concrete stored in one space. And it just so happens to sit right behind this little wall of colour here, which is my rainbow wall. And this thing is basically designed to hold everything dyeable. So we've got our dyes here is our first chest. Then we've got wool, obviously dyeable, carpet, concrete powder, concrete itself, stained glass panes, terracotta, glazed terracotta, banners, beds, and shulker boxes. Now, all of our coloured items, they live in this little thing. It's okay. I mean, it's okay. I like the idea of it. But next season, I will just have all of this sorted in a sorting system, hopefully. If I can make one big enough and efficient enough to do so, I will. But otherwise, this is kind of nice because it's so easy to find what you want and the colour you want as quickly as possible. And obviously, the added benefit that we're in water, so we can float. So yeah, this thing is quite cool. But it's just a little addition to my storage system in general. Down the bottom there, I've got a lot of crafting tables, as you can see. These are cauldrons full of water, so if we're dyeing banners and stuff, we have access to them even underwater. It still works. And the newest addition to this little area here are the looms for making banners, which are amazing. Thank you, Mojang, for including this in here. It's been really, really handy, so thank you for that. So this is one of the areas that you guys will have seen the most of, I assume. My trusty chest room, just because obviously I spend a lot of time in here. So let's go and take a look at this thing. So I suppose we should start on the roof of this thing, because that is where the magic kind of happens. So let's have a little look up on here. So as we can see, it's just a roof, so there's nothing special. But when we come down here, we can see the actual sorting system here. So this is an area that you probably don't see very often, but it is the kind of main redstone area for the sorting system of my chest room. Why I built this thing out of a lot of blue ice, I don't know. It was obviously Aquatic Update had just come out, and I really wanted to use a lot of blue ice around, but obviously due to how rare and hard it is to kind of get this stuff, I kind of abandoned that idea. So there's just a lot of blue ice inside here, which is an absolute freaking waste. And if I could be bothered to smash down the blocks, I probably would do. But as you can see, it's all working. There's stuff going through there right now. This is the kind of basic sorting system that kind of everybody has. It's not extremely big, to be fair. It basically houses and sorts all of the natural items in Minecraft, which is kind of all of your natural blocks, stone, dirt, wood. Anything that can be mined naturally is kind of at the top here. Obviously, with the addition of further updates since I designed and built this chest room, it's become a little bit irrelevant now because we have a lot more natural items, you know, to be able to obtain in Minecraft. So, yes, it's not fully sorted. Okay, so this is where I actually can interact with all of my items that have come through the sorting system. And that's anything that has to be crafted. This is the actual part of the sorted area that you guys actually see. It was an aquarium at one point. As you can see, it's like a 2-block wide, 360-degree aquarium with all of the kind of aquatic update stuff in the walls to make it look very, you know, pretty and stuff. Like, I was very excited about the aquatic update when it came out. And obviously, as an aquatic theme base, it just kind of seemed like it fit. There was loads and loads of tropical fish in the walls at the beginning of the season, but as time has gone by, I have made holes in the walls, I've done bits and pieces, especially for this back door here, and all of the fish escaped. Cue sad music. Very, very sad. On the flip side, our fish are back in the oceans because it kind of took all of our tropical fish and just stopped them from spawning in the oceans. But they are back now, spawning as they should be. I wanted to kind of, you know, I wanted to kind of build myself a little statue. Ahoy hoy. So I built it on top of the chest room because it was the only kind of flat surface I could find to build it. So that's kind of where it went. And I think it was a nice little chest system. But in Season 2, I will be having a fully sorted chest system, and I will sort every single item in the game. Either that or it will be close. It's still got to be aesthetically pleasing, and it still has to be efficient, and, you know, all of those hoppers, oh my god, you know. So I'm already in the process of designing a brand new chest system for the new season, so we will see how that pans out. Now, I made a conscious decision in this season to have all of my weapons and armor in a completely different place to my chest room and build it its own little armory, which I think is a nice little idea. And something I have never ever showed off in this season so far, because I don't want to be pillaged and pilfered, is the actual access point of this armory, which is this little statue here. So he faces obviously a completely different direction than the rest of these armor stands and whatnot. So if we walk up to him and left click, we get ourselves a redstone torch, and if we put it on this wall here, all of our doors open, allowing us to access all of our bits and pieces. Now I have everything one could possibly need for a loadout here in this armory, and this was my go-to place every time I died to re-equip all of my items until I got tired of doing that and built myself the sequential automatic loadout equipping station that I built some time ago. What a mouthful that is. So anyway, that's enough of this little area. That's basically just a kind of etho chest system hidden away there that contains all my items. And while we are here, let's go in this direction here. So as you see, I have got a big old generic looking pickaxe statue right here in this kind of little watery pond kind of thing, and it leads us on to our villager trading system here. So these guys just kind of sit in here waiting for me to purchase stuff from them, which I do a lot of the time, and other guys on the server, they also use this thing. Now this is the guy that gets most use. He is the most popular villager of all time, but people come from far and wide for his services. But I also have efficiency protection, I got punch, I got smite, I got depth stride, aqua affinity, sharpness, unbreaking, lure, silk touch, fortune, fire aspect, and a couple other guys at the end. So, you know, I got most of the decent guys right here in this little system. Now, if we go into this little pond that has the statue on top, we can go directly down here into what I've called the penthouse. Now, in the penthouse here, it's a bit odd. This was kind of an afterthought. This is where I now sleep. So this is kind of my little bedroom. It's quite nice because you can see a lot of the space from here. It would have been nicer if I could have kind of had this on single player so you guys could have seen a lot more of the base from here. But never mind. We are here at the penthouse. Now, the only kind of thing that I managed to get done this season in the penthouse here is my loadout equipper. Right, so this thing I designed because every time I died and got plonked back at base, I usually died somewhere very, very far away. And it was very annoying to have to come here, go to the armory and, you know, run all the way there like a bloody idiot and get all of my stuff. So I decided I would make some sort of equipment station that I could kind of build into where my bed is, that I could kind of equip all of my items with one touch of a button. Now, I'm a kind of a weird OCD kind of guy, and all of my items, they have to be in a specific order from left to right on my hotbar, otherwise it drives me crazy. So that's what this thing is designed to do. So with one button push here, we can get our sword, pickaxe, our shovel, our bow, our trident, and our axe. And it also applies all of our armor. It gives us arrows, it gives us rockets, and everything else that we need to tackle the server with. So right now, if we have a look in the inventory, you can see that I am actually receiving rockets, and I was actually also receiving arrows, but I already had them in here, so they didn't end up in the hotbar. But this thing is awesome. This is sort of like the armor I took off, like the current new armor that I've just put on. I really, really like this thing. It was kind of one of the best tutorials that I built in season 1, I would say. It's kind of one of my most favorite tutorials, one of my most favorite like kind of designs that I did, just because it was necessary for me. It wasn't really designed to be a tutorial at first. I built it for myself on the server because it was driving me crazy. Keep on going to the armory to have to equip all of my stuff. So, you know, when this kind of sprung up, I was more than happy to include it in my base and include it as a tutorial, which I did. I hope you guys have seen that. If you haven't, check it out, because I think it's quite a nice little thing. Okay, so moving on from the penthouse. Now, this is my little kind of tree area that I use to farm things that aren't oak trees, basically. This is where I just grow a load of other trees in case I need their wood. Mostly jungle wood I've got here, a lot of jungle. I got some dark oak. I've got most trees here, most trees, except for acacia wood. Oh yeah, I have acacia. Yeah, basically every tree I have here. This is just an area for me to harvest the trees that I can't actually farm on my tree farm. Down here we have my strip mine. Now this is something I don't believe that I've really shown off before. This is where I come to get most of my resources, or I did before I was super rich and didn't need to do that anymore. But down here is my strip mines. Basically all of these run off in a direction to be mined. I've got this area here that I used to mine in when I couldn't bother to strip mine, but that is literally all this is. It's just a mine, and that is all. Heading off back towards my base, let's follow this line here, because this is just a train track system to my busted ass, bum ass, undecorated villager breeder. Now this is where I breed all of my villagers to send them off into different directions, and it's because it's kind of like the furthest place away from any other kind of villager activated thing, and I don't intend to build any kind of villager powered things around here, so this is where that sort of lives. I've got all of my train tracks in here for ease of transportation, and there's nothing much more to say about that really. It's just a villager breeder, I suppose. A slow manual one, because that's the best kind. It's a short hop across the water to our wood farm. Now this wood farm is nothing special. Really, it's just a wood farm. It looks kind of nice. I've kind of sort of bolstered up the frame of the thing to kind of make it look kind of a little bit nicer. But it's a very nice design. I half took the design from Skippy and half of it's my own, because I liked the way that this kind of comparator detects when a tree has grown, which is kind of an unusual thing for a comparator to be doing. It can usually detect if a chest is full or a container is full, but it can actually detect when a tree has grown, which is something I really like about this little design, which can obviously power our pistons, allowing this thing to work as it works in the first place. It's a very nice little design. I very, very much like it. As far as tree farms go, you can't really argue with it. The leaf crusher is a little bit inferior. I could probably crush it a little bit better, possibly. But I'm not going to spend too much time kind of discussing this wood farm, because it is just a wood farm. A nice one, but it is just a wood farm. So let's move on. So now we will move on to our potion platform. Now I call this thing a potion platform because it's not just a simple potion machine. Now this thing has everything you could possibly need to do with potions all in one area. We can toggle our modifiers here. We can toggle it to a splash or non-splash here. And all of this stuff here is our ingredients, so we can basically choose what potion we want, and it will brew that for us and send it into this nice little box here, like this. Here we have all of our water bottles, so we just fill them up here, and they just drop down into there. Here we have our awesome singular potion modules that Karma built for me. And now this basically repurposes all of our health potions that we get from our witch farm into splash potions of instant damage for the blaze farm. Now the whole way through this season we had a problem with splash potion of harming, because obviously, as you guys know, I have a season pass dual blaze farm in the Nether that I charge 32 diamonds a pop for, so it falls upon me to provide the guys with splash potions of harming to kill the blaze. And I was running out and really struggling to kind of keep up with that. So Karma kindly kind of built me these little things in order to kind of have instant potions at the push of a button. And it's a really, really nice little thing that he did for me here. Thank you very much, Karma. Now, if we head to the sides of this thing, you can see that all of our nether wart is kind of growing up around the sides here. I did toy with the idea of having an automatic nether wart farm, but really, I wasn't harvesting that much nether wart in order to make it a worthwhile thing for me to be doing on a survival server. So I just grew them around the outside, and it's more than been sufficient. Now, carrots we need for night vision, obviously. So here they are being farmed right underneath our potion platform by this little villager here. He throws it to that villager, who drops it into hoppers, which kind of sends it along all of these lines here and straight up into our potion machine. Below it, we have our Melon Farm, which is about as automatic as I could be bothered to make it. It's manual collection, automatic harvesting, something like that, and then you'll just walk across. You can collect all of your melons. I will do this completely differently in Season 2, but then you can just kind of throw your melons into this water stream here, which will send it into hoppers, into my very famous by now auto-powered droppers, and straight up into our potion platform, along with the carrots, into our sort of small and kind of very small and not fit for purpose storage system that we have here. Carrots, I have to manually keep storing them in these boxes because I just have so many carrots. But anyway, this thing is kind of nice. I really like this potion platform, and I think I'll do something very similar in the next season, except that I will have all of the ingredients able to be farmed here and automatically put into a bigger and more purposeful sorting system here, and probably have it sorted and put straight into the potion machine itself. I'm not sure yet, but that's probably what I'll do in Season 2. But this is a very good starting point for a fully automatic potion platform. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the furnace, because that was a relatively early build. I cannot remember. I think it was episode 3, actually. I can't remember. So I left this one a little bit further on in the list because this thing has been an absolute boon for my base. It's a really, really big furnace array is what it is, all connected up to one input and output system, courtesy of inspiration from Mumbo Jumbo, and I just kind of adapted it and tweaked it a little bit for Bedrock, and it works amazingly. Now, since I created this thing, I have tweaked it a little bit. The delivery system for our items and for our fuel has been a little bit tinkered with last few episodes to make it a little bit more efficient. But this thing is very efficient now. It's very good, and I don't really see a need to change this in Season 2. I think this is exactly how I will be building my furnace array for the next season. I will change a few things. I don't think I'll have as many hoppers. If I can get away with it, I'll be using water streams as carry-out lines. But apart from that, this thing will remain almost the same. Maybe I will tweak this thing a little bit in order to just compensate for that, but that's about it. Obviously, I've got my beacon in here because I spend a lot of time in here. It's also hooked up to a giant kelp farm out the back, which we are going to go to and have a little look at right now. So this kelp farm is awesome. I designed it myself, and not that I've had a look, but I've yet to see a bigger, better, more efficient kelp farm than this. One string of hoppers submerged in water with a water stream on top. We've got some string there to stop our kelp growing any higher. It can be a manual or automatic system. At the moment it's on manual because I had an absolute influx of kelp that I couldn't smelt fast enough. So it's on manual right now. So let's just flip this little switch and watch this thing harvest itself. but look at the kelp that we get from one harvest. It's insane. And it will all filter. There is no loss. I mean, out of the literal 1,000 kelp that you get from this, 1,000 plus, you might get 1 or 2 single bits of kelp that get lost. But really, it's no big deal, and most of the time, it doesn't get lost. But it's brilliant, and I love it, and I don't think that, you know, I don't think I would need to change the kelp farm for next season either, really, because it's very efficient, very nice to look at, and very, very satisfying to harvest. Let's just have a look at this thing here, which is just an X-Wing fighter. I got bored one day and just built one. Minecraft have since used this X-Wing fighter that I built and the center platform as the pun of a joke that they put out a while ago. A galaxy far, far away joke they used in showcasing this build here with my X-Wing in the background. If you guys want to check that out, just go to my profile on Xbox Live, which is DeadDuck133, and you can kind of see that, or just yeah, check out Minecraft's post on Xbox Live and you should see it. So yeah, that's been quite cool. So that's something that I've been very proud of this season, the fact that Minecraft themselves actually used my build in one of their screenshots. Thank you guys for that. That's been really cool. So let's just check out the central hub now, since we've just discussed it, which is somewhere I do not frequent too often anymore, because as you see, the frame rate is pretty bad, and that's because of a witch farm that I've got up there, or should I say infinite villager breeder, let's call it that. But this thing is awash with little bits and pieces. This is something I built because the rest of my base wasn't too aesthetic, and I love building in circles. I love building needless aesthetics around places. As you can see, the center section here is for all of my maps. Now, I have everybody's base on the server. This is Jake's base. This is mine. I extended my base so far out to this direction now that I'd need 4x3 blocks here to display all of my base now. But as you can see, we are here where the little green arrow is. So my base is looking huge, man. It's actually massive. But anyway, all of the maps are here. We've got Cat's base over here. We've got Karma's base over here. We've got the community shopping district here. This is the entire quadrant of spawn with a 4x4 map. And a couple of other things. We've got our records, our totem of undying, and where I found it mapped here. These little circles here that are connected by this sort of purple glass line here are my automatic nether portals that you can turn on and off with a touch of this little button here, which was something I really, really liked. It was just something that kind of just happened, really. I just started building, and this is kind of what happened. But I really, really like it. I've got nether portals all over my base, so they're not the only nether portals I have. But this is where you would come in and out from in my base. Obviously, the grandeur of the build itself is somewhere where, you know, obviously I would prefer to receive my guests here. So that's why I built this. I've got a quad beacon traveling up inside this big old trident here, right in the center, which is surrounded by 4 rings. Now, this level here is a nether portal level, which is where you come in if the nether portals down the bottom are not alight. You have elevators, water elevators, straight to the bottom there if you need it. You have an elevator also that goes straight up here to my villager breeder AFK platform. Let's have a little look up here. So this is where my infinite villager breeder is, and also a couple of stuck golems, which kind of are a byproduct of this place. The thing is currently turned off, so not to make my frame rate any worse than it need to be whilst I record this. But it works really, really well. All the babies get pushed through that little water stream there into the center that you can just about see here, that drops them over to the middle platform that we were just on, that contains a nether portal. They will then make their way across this little slide here, down here, round by the armory, and all the way off in this direction, far away from the breeder itself. And this is our witch farm. So there's some babies right here. I got the trapdoor shut just in case they get out, but they don't usually. So this is where I turn all of my baby villagers into witches. I come up here with my trident, open this little hatch, chuck one through there, they all turn to witches, and then I kill them, and, you know, that's kind of how this thing works. We got our chests here full of drops. And this is what I was talking about earlier with the potions of healing from the witch farm that we like repurpose into damage potions for the blaze farm. So they all live in there more or less. Sticks, many spider eyes, a lot of sugar, which is good because my sugarcane farm is pants. This thing is absolutely brilliant. It's the only and best way to farm gunpowder on Bedrock Edition. I wish there was an easier way. I wish we could creeper farm the hell out of this thing, but we can't. So this is basically the best way of getting gunpowder, and I use it all the time. But it's an absolute pain in the ass because you, one, have to wait for a lightning storm, and two, this area here gets extremely laggy because to make any worthwhile yield out of this thing, you have to have so many villagers in here that I actually cannot use my Guardian farm when this thing is full. I actually can't use it. The frame rate it drops to like a frame per second. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, as good as this is, it is a pain in the butthole to actually use, but there you have it. That is my witch farm and my central portion of my base, my central hub, if you will, which is basically the thing that gets the most love out of my base. You know, anytime somebody shares a screenshot of my base or I post something on Reddit, it's always this central hub that kind of gets the attention because I suppose it just looks big and, you know, involved. It isn't really. It really isn't. This did not take me long to build. If you compare it to something like the Guardian farm that took me absolutely frickin' ages to construct, this thing is a relatively quick and easy build. I say relatively, it's all relative, but it kind of was. That is not a hard build at all. Just know your geometry, that's it. You're probably wondering what this horrible looking little platform is here. Yes, I did build this. It wasn't something that somebody else built. I built this. Very tired one night after work. I just built it because I had a lot of these guys which I'd named. I don't even know if I should have that up here. So yeah, these are my like skeleton horses that I had nowhere to put. So I just put them on this little... I named my skeleton horse here Frosty because he is one of the biggest kind of commenters on our videos. So here you go, Frosty. You have a skeleton horse named after you. That's the best I could do. That's the best I could do. All of these guys, other guys, are just random names. So yes, I will not ever be building such an ugly platform in a base again. I just had nowhere to put them. I just built it really quickly. So there you go. Shut up. That's what I did. I was tired. So this is the newly designed and built sheep farm that Jake and I have designed recently. Now, the thing that makes this so awesome is that it auto shears sheep for us using dispensers and shears, which is something relatively new. Now, the reason I have waited so long to do this is because of the 1.11 update, which allows us to shear sheep using shears from dispensers. If we have a little look down here, we saw our little orb under the water here, which was us, which has been our sheep farm for the majority of the server, which is now completely defunct. But I had all of my sheep in here, farming them underwater. It took a long time to get down here, a long time to build this little dome here. Nothing very special about that, apart from there is a nice little glass dome underwater that you can look at, and it looks very nice. Obviously, in the next season, we will be farming sheep as we currently do now, with this big old sheep farm here. There are better ways and, you know, less resource intensive ways of doing this, but I really, really love the mechanical, old school kind of redstone design that I've got going on here. I love the piston feed tape idea for replenishing the grass instead of just kind of replenishing it vertically. I like the mechanical idea of it. So if we give it a little push, let's have a little look at this thing in action. The frame rate suffers absolutely terribly. So as you can see, all the wool is coming down our chute, and all of our grass is being replenished here by the piston feed tape, ready to be sorted out again. And I really, really like it. It's loud, it's laggy, it's really mechanical. And it was an absolute pain to build on survival, but it's so much fun to watch, it's so much fun to use, and I'm rather proud of it as a sheep farm itself. So there we go, that is my sheep farm, and I'm rather happy with it. And watch all of our wool come now into our storage system here. Very nice, very efficient, very, very nice indeed. Down here, we have the steakhouse, which is my cow farm. And if you haven't seen my tutorial on this thing, definitely go and check it out, because I know it just seems like a regular cow farm, but it is very, very clever in that it's very simple to build and very good when it comes to harvesting these guys. So the idea is that you feed them all up here, the babies will get pushed along by the water underneath there, and they will make their way towards this area here for harvesting. So when they grow up, you press this button, a little block of lava will kind of drop out of here, cooking them, killing them, and dropping their stuff into this little box here. Now, the thing that makes this kill chamber so awesome is the way that the redstone is set up. So this block is our input block. There's a button on the bottom of it. When you press the button, it will send a pulse through this repeater into this dispenser that has a lava bucket inside it. Standard stuff. But it will also send a redstone pulse around the outside here on delay, so that it can almost immediately turn it off again. So we get a little bit of a lava pulse coming out of the dispenser here that turns on and off, which is awesome because adult cows get cooked, their meat gets cooked, their leather gets sent into this chest, so we get cooked beef and leather from the adult cows. And as you know, you get nothing from baby cows, no XP, no leather, no beef, so it leaves the baby cows absolutely intact, ready for them to grow up and eventually be killed when you need them. So this cow farm is really, really cool. I like it a lot. If you haven't seen my tutorial on it, check it out if you want to build it. But it is really, really cool, and I don't think I'll be doing anything differently next season other than making it a little bit bigger. Maybe I might make it a little bit bigger, but this thing is really cool. It's perfect for my needs. So yes, I'll be using this thing in Season 2, I should imagine. Right, so back to the chest room here, because we're about to go off the back of the base and sort of have a little look at what I've got going over here. Now, this is a little beach. This is where all of my friends come and hang out around this little campfire so we can sing and chat and, you know, roast marshmallows and that kind of shit. That's a lie. We've never done that. I just put bits of carpet there to make it look like beach towels, and that's all I've done. But anyway, this is completely irrelevant because it just leads off to this. Now, this is the ultimate Goldfarb. This thing produces gold like crazy. It's really, really cool. I have recently just built this. It took a long time. This is not a day one build for sure. You need a lot of obsidian, which you can get just from the end if you just want to harvest some of the pillars there. But it is absolutely phenomenal. It's huge and it produces more gold and XP than I could ever need. So in the next season, I will be using this kind of sketch for all of my XP needs. I won't be bothering with Blaze again. Blaze is really good for XP, and obviously so are Guardians, but they're a little bit harder to farm in huge numbers. So if you want a lot of XP very quickly, this is the thing that you will be building, and this is what I'll be building next season, almost as soon as I can build it, because this thing will keep me going for the entirety of Season 2. Now, we have a bunch of pigmen in here already. I am level 9, so let's just have a little look and see how good this thing works. It's an absolute mosh pit in here, man. Look at it. It's like a proper mosh pit. Please cue some, like, death metal right here, because it definitely looks like there should be some death metal playing here. So let's just take these guys out and grab our XP and sort of see how much we get. I'm thinking I have mending on all of my armor and stuff, so I'm going to take all of that off and just see how much we get. Pure XP alone, just to kind of show you guys how good it is. So yeah, let's just have a little look. I think they're all dead now. They're not. They're totally not. Right, but we can open this thing up now and get in there and chop them all to bits. Okay, so that's got me up to level 25 so far, which is really not that bad. Like, I should have kind of time-lapsed how long I sat here AFKing them for, because literally it was not more than 5 minutes or so. So, yes, this thing, in a nutshell, this thing is absolutely awesome, and it works beautifully. Yes, it is a lot to build, but it is totally, totally worth it. I suggest going to build it. If you need XP, especially if you want XP in the overworld, this will be the XP farm for you. So over here we have our clerics, which we can trade all of our rotten flesh for emeralds, which is another bloody good reason to build this, because with emeralds you can get more gold, you can get redstone, you can get lapis, glowstone, ender pearls, and even XP from emeralds. So emeralds are really cool to get, and you can get a lot of them with this because rotten flesh is so good, man. It's just, it has no reason to exist on Minecraft other than to trade for emeralds. And with this gold farm, you can get more rotten flesh than you will ever need, thus providing you with more emeralds than you could possibly ever want on a server. So yes, do I recommend building this thing as soon as you get home? Yes. Go and build this thing because it's freaking awesome. And it even smelts all of the swords back into gold nuggets, as you can see here. So yes, this thing is rather cool. Okay, so just a short hop away from the gold farm is the wheat farm. Now this thing is something I have just built. I haven't needed a wheat farm for the entire season 1 because Jake has a really good one and I've been pillaging off of him. But I needed some extra wheat in the last kind of couple of episodes, so I decided, bugger, I'll just build my own one, and it turned out quite well. After a lot of faffing around, it turned out quite well, should I add, because this thing is far from perfect. Let's give it a little bit of a push. Now, we have the same redstone design here as we have in the cow farm, which allows us to turn this top dispenser of water on and off for just long enough that we get this nice little cascade of water rolling down to harvest all of our wheat. I'm thinking whether or not to bother pressing it. I mean, last episode you saw me do it, so do you need me to show it to you? Maybe I should just do it. Maybe I should just do it. Let's just do it. Screw it. Right, so let's just turn it on there, and let's get up and have a little look at it. So there we go. All of the water now is throwing all of the wheat out. And it will get collected at the bottom here by our mine carts and hoppers, which is a bit stupid because I put like 5 of them here on this cart track, and they're all bunched up together, which is very annoying. So dispensing it into the hoppers there, which then dispenses it into our storage silos, is quite a slow process. As you can hear, it is very slow. Very slow. I should redesign this thing here a little bit, the collection system. But it's not worth it. There we go. One. We could just about got one going. Come on, we'll turn that around. Yes, it's rather annoying, but that is unfortunately what we have to do. That is unfortunately what we did, and I will be sticking with that thing. Let's try and get that. Come on. Oh, it was just over that. It was just over that hopper, but then slowly mooched its way off. Right, I don't think I can push that anymore. Let's get that going again. Turn that off. See if that cart will push that cart in front. I have spent far too long on this wheat farm already. This freaking delivery system is an absolute pain in the butt, oh man. Right, that should do it. No, don't go. Don't go. Anyway, screw it. We just turn it on and leave it. And it will take as long as it takes, and that's it. Yes, you can give me an F for this if you would like to, because I'll give myself an F for this thing, because yeah, the collection system is awful, but with a little bit of tinkering you can make this thing work very nicely. I like the pyramid design. Novelty is why I designed this thing, for literally novelty purposes alone, but I like it. It's alright. So now we come to this thing here, which is basically a biome cylinder. That's what I'm calling it. It serves no purpose whatsoever. It's just a little bit of aesthetics for you guys. I just decided to build it because I got bored. In here is my slime farm. Now, this is a slime farm light. Let's say that. Slime farm light. Which is basically, when I built this cylinder, I just built this cylinder as a biome kind of thing. I just for fun, just got bored and built it. I realised there was a slime chunk down here, so I just kind of included these iron golems and this cactus arrangement around the outside. to get some slimes, and it pumps, man. There's a lot of slimes. This is just in case they get past. There's a couple of slimes in there, but it does work really rather well. We're getting a lot of slimes in here, and it's so damn simple. So, is this what a slime farm can amount to on Bedrock? This is as simple as you can make a slime farm. It's really good. It's really, really good. I don't know what else I could say, apart from the fact that it's really, really good, really, really efficient, and we get a lot of slimes from this thing. So what you're seeing right now is a creative copy of my base. Unfortunately, it's well over a month old, so none of the back builds are there. As you can see, there's no Biome Cylinder, there's no wheat farm, there's no sheep farm. I really wanted to get a creative copy up and going for this week's episode to show you guys my whole base from the sky, but Minecraft had other ideas. So this is the best I can do for this episode, sorry guys, but it does kind of give you a decent idea of how big my base is and, you know, the kind of scales that I'm working with. I think it looks pretty cool. I'm really quite proud of it for this season. Hopefully next season it will be bigger, it will be better, it will be way more technical, and hopefully we will have a few more people on the server to share this with. And this is where you guys come in, because I want some dedicated people on the server for season 2, guys that I know will not let me down, guys that I know will be on the server playing constantly, and building really cool stuff. I've just added a few more people to the roster for season 2. Hopefully those guys will stick around for the entire season. Karma has been an absolute rock this entire season. So has Jake, in kind of like filling out the server, filling out the, you know, community district and that kind of stuff. But next season, I really kind of want to get a few more people involved and turn this into a busy, active server. If any of you guys think that that is you and you think that you could kind of come along with us for a ride on season 2 and build some cool stuff and get involved, then I would very much like to hear from you guys. Drop me some comments down in the comments section. Contact me on Discord, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you guys want to get hold of me from. The alpha server is already up, and all of our current guys are already picking their base sites out and coming up with good ideas for season 2. But that is pretty much all I gotta say for now. So it's goodbye from me, goodbye from my laggy ass base. So I will see you guys in the next episode, which will be the countdown to season 2. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next episode. DeadDuck out. Cheers. It's nice and rainy, which is exactly why I did not want to do this thing on a fucking server.